Ukraine has been in the middle of a war since February of 2022. It has been clear that the country is seeking more and more weapons to keep Russia from expanding.
These are critical supplies upon which the lives of our people and the defense of Ukrainian cities and villages depend. I expect results from these engagements in the very near future.
But now, Zelensky wants to sell weapons to the entire world.
It's time to start exporting our Ukrainian weapons.
Why is Ukraine selling weapons at a time when it needs more weapons? Who is going to buy them? And the most important question, who actually benefits from this? I'm Ananya Dutta. Let's begin our episode of Grey Zone. War is never just about the soldiers in the front line or the state under attack. Behind every blast and every strategic maneuver, there's an entire machinery of engineers, financiers, arms suppliers, lobbyists, and obviously the politicians. We don't see it in plain sight, but the line between destruction and profits is extremely blurry. And at the first glance, Ukraine's decision to open its arms exports might look like that, but there is so much more to it.
It's time to start exporting our Ukrainian weapons, those types of weapons that we have a surplus of and can therefore be exported. To have funding for those types of weapons that are especially needed here in Ukraine today for defense.
The idea of opening arms sales abroad during the war did not appear yesterday. There have been two schools of thoughts in Ukraine, where the companies have been wanting to open the arms export, but the government didn't think it was the right time. In fact, early this year, President Volodymyr Zelensky hinted that his country exporting arms should not be expected in the near future. At the same time, the Technological Forces of Ukraine Association organized the first arms export forum, which was attended by 600 people, twice as many as the organizers expected. So Ukraine was forced to get a reality check. It needs money for the arms that can stop Russia. Yes, Zelensky has been trying to rally in support through diplomatic work and pocket profits from frozen Russian assets, but nothing like selling something of your own that isn't dependent on your allies. If we speak of figures, 40% of the weapons currently used on the front lines are produced in Ukraine or with the participation of Ukrainian companies. The president wants to push this figure to 50%. And the arms industry has been on board with this idea since the start of the war. Some large manufacturers are not even half loaded with contracts. So the idea is simple. Get foreign contracts, pay more taxes to the budget, and purchase more military equipment to stop Russia. Now add to this the silver lining of any war. Ukraine's arms manufacturers have a competitive advantage, debatably something no other country possesses at this moment. It has millions of hours of running in their own technologies in real battles in the most technological war in the history of mankind. For example, Ukrainian kamikaze drones at first glance seem to be quite an achievable technology for almost any average country. But what exactly should this drone be like in order to really show effectiveness in combat? Such kind of information is exclusively owned by Ukrainian manufacturers. What works in an arms expo does not always work on the battlefield. Like the Russians are already happy to monetize their military experience and sell weapons with the label tested in Ukraine. Like this T-90S tank in this year's exhibition. And one has to think about the future. Foreign defense contracts of today are going to make Ukraine a security exporter of tomorrow. Like the USSR, which later of course became Russia, it developed a massive defense industrial base during the multiple wars. It even tested its advanced weapons in conflicts like Afghanistan and Chechnya. Today, Russia is the third largest arms exporter worldwide. But in Ukraine's decision to start exporting arms, the cons might run longer than the pros. You see, the first problem is the risk of public rejection. People may not understand the logic behind exporting weapons when there is a shortage at the front. The second problem is the risk of technology leakage to the Russians. The Russians are already analyzing Ukrainian and Western weapons thanks to the trophies from the battlefield. But an open market definitely can reveal more. The third problem is prioritizing orders for Ukraine. The system must be set up in such a way that arms manufacturers always have free capacity for the state customer. This becomes a tough decision when the foreign green bucks outweigh the government's budget by an unthinkable margin. And this is the trillion-dollar question. What weapons can Ukraine sell? The war in Ukraine has given birth to many new types of weapons that almost no one had produced before. Drones are like a gift by Ukraine to the world. We can see that in the dronization of all armies in the world. And for those who haven't, should look at the recent Russian drone attack on Poland. To repel a few foam drones, the Allies had to launch aircraft from several NATO countries. Long-range radar detection aircraft, tankers, fire missiles worth millions of dollars, and ultimately still failed to hit every single target. Zelensky says Europe and United States are interested in a deal.
There are already agreements to open export and import platforms in Europe, the United States, and the Middle East. The goal is to launch these key platforms by the end of the year.
We also need to keep in mind the geopolitical angle here. Ukraine is fighting Russia, which is using weapons from China, Iran, and North Korea. All four countries are seen as adversaries by the West. So if there is a deal by Europe and US, it's not out of goodwill for Ukraine, but calculated geopolitics. And if one digs deeper, there is a place for Ukrainian weapons not only in Western countries but throughout the world. Interceptor UAVs can be sold to countries that could become targets of Russian, Iranian, or Yemeni drone attacks. Reconnaissance wings are now being purchased by all armies that are trying to advance their militaries. In fact, we see great interest in naval drones from Southeast Asia as a tool of asymmetric warfare. So Ukraine's entry into the global arms market is more than a business decision. It signals a future where battle-tested weapons, foreign contracts, and geopolitics are all intertwined. And Volodymyr Zelensky just made way for his war-ravished country to define global security for years to come. I'm Ananya Dutta. Thanks for watching Grey Zone.